At Ukraine Crisis Media Center, the topic of the next press briefing is summing up 2 years of work of State Defense Enterprise Ukroboronprom, Romanov, General Director, Nils Gurak, Deputy Director, and Yuriy Paschenko, Deputy General Director on Aircraft Construction, Artur Kheruvimov, Deputy General Director on Development, and Volodymyr Kostrytskyi, Deputy General Director. Please welcome on stage. Good afternoon. Today, tragedy happened. We lost a renowned journalist, who is known around the world, Pavel Sheremetyev, and let's commemorate him with a minute of silence.
Спасибо.
Thank you. I knew him. It's not simple words. We wanted to discuss some issues with you. We are ready to provide information. We were speaking about taking into account the events. We should negotiate with the matter whether we should start the work, because today you carry out your professional duty and you came here, and if you don't mind, we will start our analysis. So no objections. Here my colleagues are present, and moderator presented them, and after the information we'll provide to you, you'll be able to ask questions and you can get the answer. Firstly, we want to show to you this is analysis of our activity, and we believe that you will have some questions. So this is just an analysis, and this form, and we believe that all state institutions that should work effectively. As I told at the first press briefing, I believe that this should be obligatory, that state bodies and heads of enterprises should provide information about the activities of enterprise. So we conduct such meetings each half year, and we tell about our activities. So the analysis of Ukroboronprom enterprise, starting 3rd July 2014 and July 2016. So our group started its work 2 years ago. 100 enterprises, the majority of which were economically ineffective. The task was to create, to develop our concept and to create an effective enterprise to improve the economy of our state, because I believe that there are two wars. First, with arms in the hands, and economic war. And economic war is also damaging. That's why the well-being of each Ukrainian depends on the defense sphere. And also we have scientific grounds for this. So the state expenditure through the local defense enterprise estimated 1%, and this will lead to the increase in the economy for 1.5%. So we can buy something abroad, and we can invest through domestic military sector, and the figures show that it leads to the increase in GDP 1.5%. So the guarantees of our goals are defense and security, and integration of science and technology, and more than 100 of enterprises work in 5 industries: armored vehicles, air vehicle, and repair, vessels and radio equipment, and high precision weapons and equipment. So we have enterprises who are not a part of Ukroboronprom. These are small and medium-sized enterprises that provide some spare parts, enterprises that are not included in the concern, and also the National Academy of Science, and also research institutes, higher educational institutions. These are the institutions that should work properly, and we would like to unite the potential and possibilities of those people who work in all these institutions and spheres. Starting conditions. Export trade, and also 50% of enterprises were at the brink of bankruptcy, absence of innovation, lack of motivation, lack of salary, high corruption, and lack of communication and teamwork. And also critical condition of our capabilities. So the decision, we had to transform the Ukroboronprom, small figures, so to replace management, and here are many components. So the change in business model, and project office was introduced, and coordination, and the center of electronic accountability, effective team of people, professionals, logic in management, result orientation. This is the very important, also transparent approach, and also instruments that we took as the basis for our work. First of all, personnel, highly qualified personnel, and also refresher training for people through delivering some training courses, also transparent introduction of procurement, electronic procurement. We did it, and we told about it at our first press conference. So production and innovation and accountability, fighting corruption, innovations. And one of the principal moments is also development and cooperation with National Academy of Sciences, universities, scientists, because there are many tasks such as import replacement and other things. They should be considered by scientists. Also, we will discuss these issues later. Also, operational activities, restructuring of assets, automatization system, introduction of budget system, electronic processing of documents, audit system of production, also clear cooperation in the concern, also optimization of regulatory procedures for external contracts, and the new marketing policy. Key points in management in these 2 years. So the slide shows We analyzed this. So repair of equipment. You know that there were more than 50 mobile brigades who worked in the ATO area that repaired the equipment that was at the front line. In 2015, we had the task of batch production and for the military forces, and 2016 is innovation, and this at the end of last year there was the 75% of all net income of enterprise should be provided to the budget. So there is lack of money for the development of enterprises. They are not envisaged in the budget, so there is lack of funds for development of the enterprise. So they just cut golden chicken who laid golden eggs. And also, we addressed the Ministry of Finance and Ministry of Economy, and we hope that this is the request of the heads of enterprise, because we believe that this is some subversive act when they destroy working places, 80,000 working places and 200,000 working employment opportunities of those people who work with us. Ecosystem that we see and that provide multiplier effect. The majority of economies will be found here. So education, we should improve the quality of education and to improve employment. And we need highly educated graduates, and this will develop further our country on the whole. Also, enterprises and small and medium-sized enterprises, these are 200,000 working places. Also, there are many products that were sold with the currency, and for 2016 we concluded contracts for 1.3 billion. So Ukroboronprom is 80,000 people, and when they get the salary, they provided 8.9 billion hryvnias to the economy of Ukraine, and they provided products for 13 billion, and 7 billion of taxes were brought to the state budget. If we are speaking about science, the cooperation with higher educational institutions, and as of today, we signed the memorandums with 48 institutions and 30 institutions of the Academy of Sciences, and about 500 projects are developed. So also they developed enterprises, and we have some prospects for 72 enterprises, so capital investment.
What was done during the years 2014-2015? I mentioned that 75% of income that we have to deduct to the budget. I said that it was jeopardizing our future because we invested 1.3 billion of our own money into starting new production. Starting of new production is carried out on very outdated word equipment without any support from the state. Multiplying effect. I wish to show you this slide. This is for the first time when we show it publicly. Malyshev plant producing tanks. Only 17 enterprises of Ukroboronprom are involved into production of tanks, while 143 other contractors are involved. Then Dazor armored vehicle. Again, only 7 enterprises of Ukroboronprom participate, and 86 other outside companies. This is a huge multiplying effect. Then I come back to the optimization of the country's capacity. We had signed more than 300 memoranda with different enterprises, and yellow color shows those oblasts of Ukraine which produce parts of the weapons that we are going to produce to make the substitution of import successfully. And we managed to raise the figure of import substitution up to 90%. We continue establishing the Center of Engineer and Technical Excellence. The examples of import substitution include the following items. In 2015, when Antonov enterprise became part of our concern, Ukraine was producing 48% of the plant. From other countries we received 11% of the parts for this aircraft, and only 41% of the parts were produced in Russia. During this period we managed to raise the part of the objective is to produce 78% of the parts of this aircraft in Ukraine. And also the asterisk says that we plan to get rid of critical dependence from other countries in production of this aircraft. Recently, I met with the key producers of the parts to aircrafts from many countries, and very soon we will be able to publicize our successful achievements, which we expect in this area. This slide illustrates examples of the new products by our concern. Three-dimensional radio location system, devices for radio monitoring, anti-subversive hydroacoustic station, automatic guns, radio interferences stations, and collimator precising devices. Actually, we act very proactively in this area. Currently, we are working on the tactical, multifunctional, unmanned aerial vehicle, and 2 weeks ago, we had our tests in Khmelnytsky. Actually, this is a multifunctional system which could be used in many areas. For example, in agriculture, our Ukrainian agricultural sector sometimes sets rather complicated tasks for us. They wish to see the fields, they wish to see the situation in the fields. They try to apply the most progressive approach, and this allows us to develop R&D area in our institution. Unfortunately, not so many sectors follow these examples. Strengthening defense capacity of the country and raising its technology level due to partnerships. Ukroboronprom has a reputation of reliable partner around the world, and we managed to launch production of thermovisual devices and some other contemporary types of weapons. How the partners assess trade relations with Ukroboronprom? You can see the growth points, and you can compare figures during last 3 years. Now, globalization. This is an example how we are able to produce new products with involvement of the global leaders in production of the parts of aircrafts. Like Boeing and some others. In the past, our Antonov enterprise was very closed firm with very closed company, and we limited our partner relations. As of now, upon request from our partners in Saudi Arabia, our designers, aircraft designers, carried out huge work. They made a new design of the cockpit, and they changed all the models, systems, displays, all the equipment inside the aircraft. They had changed the power plant, the air supply system in the aircraft was changed, and we involved the United States, Germany, Canada, the United Kingdom, etc. So we have changed our approach. Within a year, when we were cut off our previous sources of particle supply, we changed the suppliers immediately. Thus, we had signed a contract with a Sterline company from Canada. This made us more flexible. This allowed us to set new conditions for the use of the aircraft. We are now more flexible in changing design of the aircraft, and this year, Antonov Enterprise plans to take off this aircraft into the air. This slide shows development of science via partnership with research institutions in Ukraine. My colleagues are able to explain in more detail. We have several clusters like tank cluster, aviation cluster, shipbuilding cluster, missiles and artillery cluster, electronic warfare cluster, etc. And in total, there are 475 clusters. We managed to involve even universities, and students showed a lot of interest in this work. We wish to bring together young students in universities where researchers develop new products involving students, and then this new object of our R&D goes to production. And when the production comes into the market, it produces new money as in a form of wages, in a form of taxes, which will be invested into education further. And this allows our new national research institutions like National Academy to function properly. Cooperation with NATO. As I mentioned, big number of our enterprises are connected to the electronic NATO catalog. And our Western partners have full access to this information. As of today, we have certified personnel who are trained in compliance with NATO standards. I would like to use this opportunity today to thank to our partners in Ukraine, to the NATO rep office in Ukraine, who allowed us to carry out this training, from whom we receive consultancy. And I would like to thank to Mr. Bajok, the Ukrainian ambassador in NATO. This is a person with whom we have a big feedback and who contributed much effort to our cooperation. Intellectual capital and human capital. One of the first our steps were implemented in the online venue for CV and resumes. As of today, we have 1,264 such resumes, and which allows us to use this information efficiently and to attract experts from many areas of economy. Also, we established good cooperation with Kyiv Mohila Business School and IMI Kyiv Business School, and Kyiv Mohila Business School is our consultant in developing the concern strategy. I also would like to thank to the IMI Kyiv Business School, to Miss Irina Tikhamirova. More than 30 managers have got MBA degrees from this school. IMI Kyiv currently develops joint program with John Hopkins School of Advanced International Studies, and this would allow us to make a good use of the global knowledge and expertise. Here you see the examples how we measure our efficiency. When I mentioned online resources, I meant that we computerized our tenders. We hold more than 27,000 of tenders, and involved more than 13,000 of suppliers. This enabled us to save a lot of state money and prevent transfer of money into accounts of non-reliable suppliers. This was a huge shortcoming in the past. So this figure amounts to almost 3 billion of hryvnia, of saved money. So the financial outputs of our outcomes of our work. Here you see the aggregated indicators. Transfer of technologies and weapons. Actually, this is the most important slide. All our work, which I described today, is aimed at production and supply of new technique, new weaponry. And by the way, 30% of our production was produced for internal market, and up to 70% of our production was supplied to the external market. We carried out huge repairs and modernized all old weapons. Almost 5,000 of units of weapons were repaired. We are proud of this figure. This reflects that we are on the right path in our activities. This slide could be used by those who wish to criticize us. That is what we have started but not implemented yet. Production of the Zor armored vehicle for the military forces of Ukraine. This picture was made today's morning. And this batch of vehicles were officially accepted by the army representatives. Of course, this was made with delay. We experienced a lot of criticism. We got a big number of black PR, but any world producer, Toyota, Mitsubishi, etc., launches production of new vehicles within 3-5 years. We made an attempt to do this within 2 years. Of course, it was very ambitious tasks, but we involved more than 70 suppliers. Ukrainian producers produce seats, produce glass, produce the gears, produce the controlling wheel, and these are important parts of those vehicles, and our task was to find quality suppliers, because in the past we identified many design shortcomings in those parts, and we relocated the order for these vehicles from Lviv to Kharkiv, and involved the Kharkiv Design Bureau, and everyday design designers' work allowed us to get rid of the previous shortcomings, and the close contact with the producers of separate units allowed to produce that good vehicles which we supplied today to the army. So despite all the skepticism expressed by some people, this vehicle were officially accepted twice. For the first time, it was officially inspected and tested and accepted in Kharkiv, and then the military inspection in Lviv tested it and produced the document about exception of this vehicle. And I would like to use today's opportunity to thank to all those people who were very demanding, but this allowed us to overcome a lot of problems. At the final stage, we even revealed the facts of sabotage and subversive actions, and we even opened several criminal cases and investigations about sabotage at the final stage. Malyshev plant carries out a lot of contracts, foreign contracts, and in 2015 and 2014, the export from that plant was limited, so we had to substitute that production, and in order to comply with the contracts. Unfortunately, as of today, the military, the Ministry of Defense had not ordered any weapons, any equipment from Malyshev plant, building up the ammunition plant. The Ministry of Defense knows for a long period of time that we are ready to produce shells of 152 millimeters diameter. By the end of this year, we will produce the first experimental batch of these shells, and we expect to have to get a state order for these shells. So we provided this information to the Ministry of Defense, to the Ministry of Economic Development, and reported about full readiness of our plant for shells production, for big caliber guns, for small arms, etc. Actually, we are rather we are producer able to produce production of good quality. So the Ministry of Economic Development is informed, and we expect to get feedback from them. Actually, we have included into our informational circular letter all the potential stakeholders. So we provided fully this information to all the interested stakeholders. The ministry has to determine who will be the builder of this plant, who will finance it, etc. I do not know, maybe even private business, even a small or maybe medium-sized enterprises could be involved in this. I would like to thank once again to your colleagues, to journalists who cover our activities. Forbes in May put us on 9th position among top 10 innovative companies. Now about development. We have put this review of development as a separate section. We keep in mind the so-called ecosystem of defense industry. We have state enterprises which are not members of our concern, small SMEs, training, educational institutions, National Academy of Sciences, biggest international companies, the government of Ukraine, etc. This all, they all will contribute to the development. So key preconditions for development is a restructuring of our concern, transparent management of assets, corporatization of the sector, international managerial standards, holding structure, cluster approach, separation of the service cluster, new research and development sector. Key pillars of our development are investments into technologies. So one of our priorities is R&D We strengthen our cooperation with the different design bureaus, with the National Academy, etc. We need to focus on audit of our assets. We focus our attention on concentration of production, on automatization of production, in creating the centers of internal competencies. We also focus on the cooperation inside the country. We establish partnerships with oblast state administrations and regional governments, with local SMEs, etc. Also, we closely cooperate with armed forces, fine-tuning the future weapons and equipment. We strengthen our consultancy services. Please allow me to assure you that that each word in this document, which we publish today, are supported by real work and real plans. In early July, we presented this document to our colleagues inside the company, and we took this as an action plan for our further work. Thank you for your attention. We are ready to answer your questions. Thank you, Roman. Now let us start Q&A session.
Sergei Guris, Fan Express editor. Question to Roman Romanov. You know that in our publications we follow the situation connected with Dazur, and your information about progress raise additional questions. Could you tell us, please, where these Dazurs were provided, in what military units? Also the issues of mass and issues of other issues and another issue is what is the number of cars for this year, and is there finances for this? Firstly, you highlight this topic this raised our concern, how you highlight these issues, and your latest publications, we can discuss them later. I am an open person, and I always say that white is white and black is black, and I believe that your publications, you never addressed to me for comments or to my deputies, and your colleagues did. And there was an example, for example, Censornet. We get a lot of criticism. They call and they say, Roman Anatolievich, there are some questions about the quality of equipment. Could you comment on this? And I say, for example, at 8 o'clock in the morning. So we gather with the deputies, those people who are responsible for the quality of equipment, and they carried out, they got feedback, and he provided information, and they provided correct information. I am for the criticism, if it is fair. So you place information, and then we find this information. So you should get information from the managing company or from the company that produces equipment. Some people placed the articles. They didn't include the leading producer there, and you should see that in the Cabinet of Ministers documents there is this. This producer is included in the documents. So as to overheating and as to military unit, when this press conference is over, I will tell you these photos were made this morning, and this equipment, the armed forces take decision today to what unit this equipment will be sent to. And when the press conference is over, and if this information is not classified, you can get this information. So this information will be provided in Kharkiv media, and the information that is not secret will be provided to the media. And as to overheating, you know that it was found out and why this equipment was brought to Morozov Technical Bureau. It was not the plant to blame. This was a defect that was at the stage of design, and this fault was seen during the testing, and this vehicle was brought to the designer unit, and those designers who designed this car, they introduced quickly those changes. And people believe that we would put this equipment into operation in several years. We will do everything possible in order to introduce this as soon as possible. This was introduced into service in Lviv Oblast, and those people who are responsible for each unit, and also Kharkiv, they introduced it also in Kharkiv. And the facts that this car is good and the problems are solved, and so military officers, they and even course of exploitation and the use of this vehicle. So you try to find a fact in order to find some negative effects. Mercedes or BMW, so do they have troubles? And you can hear about the cars to be revoked because of some faults in the design. And these facts are found in several years, and this is done throughout the world, and we hope that this vehicle is ideal, and we hope that everything that could be done in this short time was done, and was done properly. So we provided 10 cars and documents for the cars. So you have, if you allow me, small comment, not 01, but 01. 01 will be attributed, and there will, all the documents are ready. The documents are corrected, and as to 10 cars that were provided, they correspond technical conditions, and they can be used in military actions, and they can be used as for training. That will use them in hundreds, and I hope that the plant will produce such a number. And this is the issue of the armed forces of Ukraine. And these cars, they meet all necessary requirements. And the next 10 cars, they will be better than the previous one, and it is understandable that they will be used. There will be some proposals that will arise. There will be some concerns, and designers and producers should react on these requests. And those people who are involved in production, they say about the fact that the equipment that is not modernized but started from scratch, they have some faults, but it doesn't prevent them from being used. I was provided with information that these cars, according to the information, they are in air mobile brigades in 95th Brigade. Unfortunately, this is the end of press conference. This will be the last question. About potential, about the prospects concerning with the decisions taken in Warsaw, and also about ships and vessels. There are objective reasons that this equipment is very expensive, and there was a proposal. One expert said that we should create small vessels. Do have an opportunity to create such vessels. Ukroboronprom concern at different levels, and at the meeting of the commission that is headed by the Security and Defense Council, provided in order to create different vessels, and they are at the stage of technical design, and we wait for such an order for further development and batch production, and this is in the interest of Ukroboronprom. And also I would like to say that those enterprises that create ships, you know that we have engineering center, very powerful. It is Nikolaevsky Bureau. This is a unique enterprise, and many countries use the equipment of this enterprise. So we can design any equipment, and the plant of 61 Kommunar, they have a lot of debt, but till autumn 2015 they didn't have orders at all, and then they completed all the orders, and now they review other orders, and we carried out analysis of Pallada enterprise, that is a shipbuilding enterprise, and last year it was bankrupt, and it had huge indebtedness and salary, and we took credit and we created a dock. We sold it successfully, and yesterday we announced that this vessel was brought through Bosphorus to the those who ordered this vessel, and also we sent to the Ministry of Defense the letter where we showed the potential of shipbuilding and small vessel building and the pentons building and other equipment, and our capabilities of repairing vessels. And in the framework of the budget of the Ministry of Defense, we can respond to any challenges, whether it is repair or building and construction. As to Warsaw, about the priority, what we should develop, small ships or some sort of military weaponry, the state should invest in this. This is the priority of the Cabinet of Ministers, the Cabinet, and the priority of the Ministry of Defense. In this report, we wanted to show that we are able to respond properly to the tasks that we face, and whether it is the building of the plant or modernization works or development of equipment. And we are ready to work according to NATO standards, because we carry out this work as an initiative by the forces of our concern and enterprises who are our partners. So you can put your questions off records, so thank you and goodbye.